afternoon. I'm Evan Czajka. These are my final reflections for the Capstone experience. My agenda will cover personal insights, marketing reflections, goals and objectives, recommendations for improvement, and a final summary. For personal insights, I thought overall the MBA course was a good experience. The exposure to different business and marketing concepts, analyses, and business practices was appropriate and developmental. For diversification, though the subjects were different, the structure of the courses seemed to be similar for all courses, including the project-based learning and concentration courses. I think it was a little bit too similar to the point where I felt like we were taking the same course multiple times. The use of discussion boards was helpful, but somewhat overused, and the standard varied from course to course. I felt like one of the biggest things that stood out to me was that there was a lack of instruction and lecture. This program was largely self-learning. I think more basic intermediate instruction on systems and analyses would be helpful, and I'll get into that further on my recommendations. For project-based learning structure, I thought that was a good way to engage students and get us working together in a safe environment that's similar to that of a workplace. For the simulation, I thought that was a good exposure. It was a large amount of information, and there was very little instruction prior to application. I think more simulations throughout the course from beginner to intermediate level would be a helpful approach. For course load, I think the course load and content seemed appropriate, spread out over 2 years with an opportunity to complete sooner if desired. For concentration, marketing reflections, I felt that overall it was good focus and exposure, but it was too general and similar in structure and requirements to other courses, not enough exposure to adequately prepare students for a career in the marketing field. More specifically, in Business 626, Consumer Psychology and Buying Motivations, I think that provided a good introduction to marketing strategies. And then Business 627, Advanced Marketing Research and Analytics, it was very general. It seemed too much like the other courses, too basic, not enough exposure to concepts, and would benefit from lecture. I think that's kind of like my overall theme and recommendations, that we need a little bit more interaction with instructors. For that particular course, the instructor did not make requirements clear and change requirements during the course, and did not follow the syllabus. For goals and objectives, post-retirement from the Army, I intend to combine my career experience with the knowledge gained from the MBA program and pursue a career in the civilian sector. For leadership and management, based on my experience, I intend to pursue a mid to upper level management position with aspirations to one day be the director of a department at a successful company working towards executive management. For recommendations for improvement, I think there should be at least 3 lectures throughout each course to provide engagement between professors and students and actually teach and discuss topics in course content versus self-learning. I think there should be more business plan education. The use of charters was good, however, more robust business plan education would be helpful. For standardization of discussion board requirements, I just noticed that there was not really congruence between courses and how that was handled. I think that would benefit the program. Adherence to syllabi, ensure that instructors follow their syllabi and are consistent with grading according to their syllabi and assignment requirements. This was only really for one course, but I had one course where a professor wasn't following their syllabus and was making changes mid-course to course requirements. And then there was one other course where there was an assignment and the professor just kind of, even though I met the course criteria, she essentially said that I couldn't do what I was planning to do, so I had to take it up the chain, and I just don't think that's appropriate. The standards need to be the standards, and they need to be adhered to. So that applies for the syllabus. Again, lack of instruction and lecture, more basic intermediate instruction on systems and analysis would be helpful. especially on data collection and analysis and practical application. Excel charts and some of those types of things. Some of that data analysis and graph creation, we all have different backgrounds, but I think that we could, for some of us, that's our first exposure to that type of material. So I think kind of a crawl, walk, run type of an approach would be better with some of that stuff, a little bit more exposure before jumping into it, especially when you get to the simulation. For the simulation, I think there was a large amount of information with very little instruction prior to application. It was just kind of like drinking from a fire hose, and then it was just a lot of information to really find what you're looking for without having that general introduction. And I don't think that the, summaries that they provided at the beginning of the course were really enough to get you where you need to be successful in the simulation. So I think a beginner to intermediate level approach would be helpful. For diversification, the structure of the courses seemed to be similar for all courses, including project-based learning and concentration courses. It made it feel like I took the same course multiple times. I just think that, standardization is one thing, but at this level especially, like one course should be different from the other. I feel like they were the same course, just with a different title and slightly different requirements. You create a charter, and then throughout a course, you're working towards creating your final paper. That's not all it should be. Like, there needs to be more to it. A little, like I said, more communication and direct instruction from the professor. That's why I'm recommending the lectures in each course, just to get that interface between student and professor, and to actually teach the concepts, bringing in some real world application versus self-learning. And I think that's pretty much it for recommendations. Overall, the MBA course was a good experience. The exposure to different businesses and marketing concepts, analysis, and business practices was appropriate and developmental. Considering and implementing the recommendations of students may lead to a better overall educational product for the next generation of students. The biggest thing that I will close with is that diversification is needed. I felt like the structure of the courses was too similar, to the point where I felt like I took the same course multiple times. I also felt that overall more interaction with the instructors is needed. While I understand that at this level there is a certain expectation, however, for many of us this is our first exposure to some of these subjects, concepts, etc. I wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors.